Hey guys, Alex from 734 Speed. We're back with another video. Today we're going to do some chassis bracing. So, quick little update on the car. Still waiting on a couple sensors to come in before we can throw the Dankai motor sitting back there in. So, trying to just keep working on this car. I've had this chassis bracing sitting in the office for a while. Might as well throw that on. I did paint some parts here. You can see that firewall. I also did, I wish my phone would let me flip the camera while I'm recording, but I also did the fuel rail in this really nice metallic red. So let me switch this camera around. I'll show you guys some updates. I'll show you the chassis bracing, then we'll get into it. Alright, so I decided to do a little bit of accents here with this kind of red, playing around with that. There's going to be a lot of red in the engine bay, so I'm sure later on when I go to actually powder coat these parts, I might change it up. But, yeah, just this really nice metallic red. Camera doesn't really pick it up super well in the low light, but when we get it out of the garage, someday we'll be able to see that better. A couple spots did chip just because I don't think I prepped it well enough, so I don't really think you'll see that. Plus, I'll go back over it with just like a paintbrush or something, dab it on there. But the fuel rail turned out really nice. You can kind of see a little bit better. Really happy with how that turned out. So let's go over this chassis bracing. This is made by TB Performance Products. Real cool guy, easy to work with. Found him on Instagram. He's got a website too, so go ahead and check them out. What we got up here is the torque gusset traction bar. This goes up in the front, ties into the lower control arm and then into the chassis. The instructions aren't really well written, to be honest, on these, so I don't know exactly where it goes, but we'll figure it out. This is the mid chassis brace right here. This goes kind of right where the downpipe meets your catback exhaust. And that's going to replace this stock heavy ass big one for a nice sturdy lightweight small chassis brace. This is the rear chassis brace. This goes right behind the rear axle, helps kind of tie up the rear end. And then this is the rear strut tower brace. This goes inside the hatch and ties up kind of similar to how the front strut tower brace is. So this here is going to help chassis flexing. It should help with torque steer and wheel hop a little bit. Just kind of help us put a little bit more power to the ground more efficiently and easier, having the stiffer body. Having the roll cage in there too down the road is going to help stiffen this up a lot too. So we're going to have as little chassis flex as possible. And it's also going to help like distribute everything going around corners and stuff. So yeah, let's start with this big guy up front. That I think is probably going to be the hardest from what I've seen reading through the instructions. This is super simple. 4 bolts. That'll take me 2 seconds to put in. Don't know if I'm going to get to the rear 2 today, just because I got a bunch of stuff I got to take care of. But if not, we'll get to those in the next few days. So let's get started with this torque gusset traction bar. So this is actually going to be simpler than I thought. For those of you having an engine in the way, maybe a little bit tougher, but basically we got these lower control arm bolts right there and right there, and those basically sit inside the cups right there. They refer to those as the horizontal brackets or mounting points. The vertical ones in the back, they are under here. Basically, that bolt right there is where that vertical one's going to sit. So, I imagine having an engine in the way is going to make things a little bit tougher. I still got to clean all this grease and shit from suspected either bad axle or power steering line, but that'll be another day. So, start taking off some bolts here. I guess we'll start with the fronts or maybe the backs. I don't know. Yeah, let's throw it on. So those 4 bolts absolutely suck to get out. If you don't have an impact, good luck. That M18 was actually struggling to get those off. I think they're torqued like 115 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees or something stupid like that. I've got the install directions on my phone. They have the torque specs, so I'll get that for you guys. But yeah, that's just going to go right on up. See, that hole and that hole is where those 2 go, and then the frontmost bolt on the back bushing is where those go. So yeah, let's get this up, mounted in place. We'll come back with the torque specs and then move on to the mid chassis brace, that's going to be super easy. I'll probably have to jack the car up a little higher though, because it's definitely a tight squeeze under there right now. But yeah, we're going to report back in a minute. Alright, so that wasn't too bad to install. The back driver was off just a millimeter, so I had to like really torque down these front bolts to pull the chassis base back enough, but I was able to bolt it up. Now these 2 front bolts are going to get torqued down to 110 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees, and then the ones that go to the chassis down underneath are going to get torqued to 90 foot-pounds. So we'll do that, and then we'll move on to the next chassis brace, the mid chassis brace. Right, so the mid chassis brace is pretty self-explanatory. Like I said earlier, it just takes the place of the OEM big ass clunky brace right there. That's basically right in between where the downpipe meets the catback exhaust. So gonna be pretty easy to do. I'm just gonna slide under here. Probably should jack the car up a little bit higher, but I'm being lazy. I think I can get it from the sides just fine. So the original brace had 8 bolts. I already had this off from when I forgot to put it back on when I did my Cork Sport exhaust. You can see there's the OEM one right there. So I already had these sitting around. OEM one used 8 bolts. We're only going to use 4. And I couldn't find a torque spec on either the forms for that brace or the instructions from TB. So I'm just going to say torque it down just tight as tight, maybe like 35, 40 foot-pounds. So yeah, let's throw her on. Alright, so we got the brace torqued down and underneath here. So there's actually 2 different bolts you can use, and I found that using the front bolts towards the front of the car fit real nice. As you can see now, saved a lot of weight over the OEM. I'm sure this is probably stronger. It looks so much more well done, less clunky. So yeah, shout out to TB Performance. They make some quality parts, guys. The welds on these are beautiful. Good powder coat. Really happy with how they turned out, and they're really not that expensive. They're only a couple $100 per brace, I believe. It's been so long since I bought them. They've just been sitting in my office waiting for a time to put it on. But now that the weather's getting nice, start working on this bitch. So yeah, that is the TB Performance mid-chassis brace. So I think I'm going to take a break later on today. We will go and do the rear chassis and that rear strut tower. How nice that Cork Sport exhaust, top down pipe, so beautiful. Sounds so good too. So yeah, on to the next one. Alright, so we're back. I'm going to install the rear chassis brac. It goes in the hatch. I've already kind of started just because I wanted to get an idea of what needs to be done before I started filming, but I realized it's bigger than I thought. So this trim piece right here has a screw in there, and then 2 of these little push pins on the front. So I took this side off. Basically I'm trying to remove this whole piece of trim right here. Gonna remove our floor tray, get that down, and then see what clips are holding it down there, and we'll just start working this off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this clip right here. I open this, remove this bolt, and then I'm assuming there's another bolt under there. There's a few clips. Gonna probably have to undo this light, and this thing should just pop right out. There may be some clips along here, or I might have to fish that out, but we'll see how that goes when we get to that. So I got this back trim piece off, and notice there's another clip right under there. So good thing I did that. Take that clip off, took that bolt off, and then when I get that clip off, we'll see what else needs to be taken out. Alright, so we got that out. There's a few clamps down there, and then where these little pegs stick out, that went into it. But other than that, that came out real easy. Unclip the light. I do believe this is where we're going to bolt our brace into, but first repeat on the other side. Alright, so those are the mounting points that this bracket goes to. Looking more at it, looks like I don't think we actually had to remove all those, because it's just going to go in the spot where one of those little clips and 10mm screws were. So that kind of sucks, but I guess that's what you get when you have no instructions. There's nothing on their website. Couldn't find anything, so this is kind of doing it in the blind here. But oh well, it's not like it took more than a couple minutes, probably 10-15 minutes to figure all that out. So I'll go ahead and slip those side pieces on, and we'll bolt that in and then center it up. Okay, so we got the brace in. It wasn't necessary to remove these, but it did make it nice so I could fold them in while I was bolting that down. So now we'll go ahead and throw our trim back in, get this all buttoned up, and then I'll make sure that the bar is centered, and we'll move on to the next brace. Alright, so we got the brace in, got all of our sides put back together. Now it was nice, didn't have to cut anything trim wise. It's sitting really good in there. Got it pretty centered up. I don't think it makes too much of a difference, honestly. The bar itself is tight, it's not going nowhere. But yeah, so that should help stiffen up the rear end of this car a little bit. Next thing that we got to do is jack the car up and put on the lower rear chassis brace. I believe this just goes where the tow arms connect. But yeah, so we'll go on to that one next. Okay, so getting started on installing this rear chassis brace. First thing I did was jack the car up, and according to the instructions, we're going to want to locate the 2 horizontal bolts on the tow arm. So go ahead and climb under here, and I'm going to get some better lighting and locate those for you guys. Alright, so that's the bolt that we're looking at right here. See, there's your tow arm that goes into your knuckle. There's your shock to identify that. See, there's that nice cork sport exhaust. My camera zooms really far in for some reason when I'm taking videos, so it's kind of hard. But the brace is going to stretch from here, and of course it's really tight in here, but all the way over to there. So this one's going to be a hard one to film. I'm probably not going to complete this totally. I'm not going to torque these down because I will be replacing the tow arms. I still have to order those, but I'm going to do that when I do my rear sway bar, which I already have ordered, and the white line rear sway bar, and it's sitting in my office right now. So I'm going to do the end link and the tow arm at the same time. That's probably going to be the next thing that I order now that my crank and cam position sensors are on their way. So I'll probably do that next week or something. But yeah, let's get the impact. Hopefully I can get the impact in there. I think these are torqued down pretty good. If not, have to deal with the breaker bar. But get these bolts off, and then just loosely bolt the rear bar in. Okay, so I have the brace just mocked up right now. In order to get these bolts to actually go all the way in, you're going to have to jack up this wheel and kind of play with the leverage on this. But I'm not going to do that because we're just going to be taking these out anyways. So there's no point in spending time dicking around with trying to align this with the bolt. I kind of have it just caught in there. I mean, this isn't going anywhere. You can see how it connects this side all the way over to here. I'm going to try and get a better look at it. It's really hard to film this, but really nicely made brace. Looks like it'll fit nice in there, and this will just help kind of tie up this rear end a little bit more. So yeah, I think this will be the end of this video. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. So thank you very much. See you guys later.